much. Now, joining me on the phone is Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu. He's a member of the Foreign Affairs and Judiciary Committees. Congressman Lieu, what are you telling your colleagues in the Senate on the Judiciary Committee, since they're the ones who are supposed to be voting on this week?
Thank you, Alex, for your question. I'm a former prosecutor, and we look for indicators of credibility when a victim comes forward with a sexual assault allegation. I believe Christine Blasey Ford because her story has a lot of indicators of credibility. First, she told her therapist privately about this sexual assault allegation in 2012, as well as her husband. She also passed a lie detector test, and she was not seeking publicity. She didn't want her name out there until it got leaked. So I think it would be a dereliction of duty for the Republicans to go forward with this vote. They need to postpone it.
And some of your Democratic colleagues are in agreement, Senator Schumer, Senator Feinstein. I was just talking to Dana Bash about the reaction from the White House, the lack of the reaction from President Trump so far. And she was talking about his tendency to push back whenever accused. And I want to read part of the new Bob Woodward book, Fear, in which he was telling a friend who was also accused of sexual assault allegations, quote, "You've got to deny, and push back on these women. If you admit to anything and any culpability, then you're dead. That was a big mistake you made." Now, this comes, as Dana was noting, less than 2 months before the midterm elections. So do you think that the reaction now from the White House could be any different? Because as she highlighted, women are, and independent women in particular, are going to be so crucial in this midterm vote.
That's a great point. It's clear that the President of the United States is not interested in the truth. He's interested in protecting himself, and we'll see how he responds to this Brett Kavanaugh nomination. Now, I think the best way to protect himself would be for him to pick a new Supreme Court nominee, because you shouldn't put someone in the Supreme Court who has this very disturbing allegation against him. And this is not some sort of, photograph or him saying things. This is full-on sexual assault. That is a serious allegation that needs to be investigated.
I mean, to your point, and what I was asking Dana as well, are you hearing any rumblings among your colleagues, both in the House and the Senate, about whether Kavanaugh should be replaced?
It's too early to tell, but I do know there's nothing magical about this Thursday for a vote. There's no reason the Judiciary Committee couldn't reopen the hearings, put Kavanaugh under oath, ask him these questions, have the FBI investigate, and then make a decision. There is no timeline that necessitates any sort of vote this week.
How does what's been written in the Washington Post this afternoon change the dynamic of this nomination and confirmation? We already knew about the allegations last week. We didn't have her name, and now we are learning more details. But what are we learning now that could be potentially so upending to this whole process?
We got several new facts. We got the accuser's name and her story in detail. We know she passed a lie detector test, and we know she told her story many years before privately to her therapist. So it's clear she is not making this story up on the spot, and that is a lot of credibility behind her story. I think Brett Kavanaugh is in trouble.
We will see. They certainly are earth-shattering revelations and details. Congressman Ted Lieu, thanks for joining.